shall my pride.
A dramatic entry from a drama teacher. Afternoon, Mr. Abolo.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Please tell us your name and the class you'll be taking, please.
My name is Anthony Abolo, and my code is 012AA. My subject is drama, and I'll be teaching a year 7 class. The topic is the theater stage. The theater stage.
You can start your time, and we're good to go.
So our topic is the theater stage, and our objectives are clearly defined here. We're going to define what a stage is, that's one. We're going to distinguish between the theater and the non-theater stage, and also try, if possible, to list the different types of theater stage. Now here is our man, Anthony Johnson, doing what he knows how to do best. And what is he doing? The ring, the boxing ring is his what? His stage, kind of. And here's...
That was you.
So here is yours sincerely, in the
Yes.
classroom, doing what he loves to do, teaching and learning.
Good.
Now, so the classroom is his stage,
Okay.
kind of.
All right.
And then so also for athletes, the tracks, their stage, kind of. And so actors too, the stage, their platform. Now, let's do a quick one. We'll look at some keywords, proscenium, thrust, platform, theater, arena, and then the stage. How many words can you pick out in 20 seconds?
I see platform.
Yeah, Christ. Okay, this platform, right?
Okay.
Okay, I'll help out. There's
Arena must be
proscenium.
proscenium. If you can, if you
And
can
then
spell
you
it.
can see stage.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
Where's arena? I'm seeing the A's. Hang on, don't tell us yet. Let me just give it. I can see. I can see. Oh, A-R-E. No, then it goes into W.
Okay, so we'll continue this in the next class. You can work it out.
All right.
Arena. I've seen it.
You've seen it?
Yes.
Right.
Arena.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, so now, what then is a stage? Anybody? What is a stage?
A place where people perform, do their thing.
A place where people perform, okay? That's all right. Anybody else want to try?
Yeah, I was going to say a place where people perform their duties, their daily duties, their art. So that's a better way of putting it.
Okay. Okay. Now, actually, a stage is any place where you can have a performance. Any place. It could be the classroom, dining hall, an open space, etc., etc., etc. It's any place. Now that brings us to looking at the 2 types of stage. You have what is called the non-theater stage. The non-theater stage. So the non-theater stage is not purpose-built. It could be anywhere you can perform. Okay, and then you have the theater stage, which is purpose-built. We have examples like the Newson Center, the National Theatre, Igomu, Lagos, the Art Theatre, the University of Ibadan, and so on. So you have 2 types, the non-theater and the theater stage. So now, let me go back a little. What did we say a stage is?
Any place.
Any place where you
Space
can have a
for
performance.
performance.
Okay, and also you've seen the 2 types, non-theater and the theater stage. So that takes us to looking at Now, these are the types of theater stage. Remember, I talked about the non-theater and the theater. So these are the 3 main types of theater. You have the proscenium stage, you have The thrust stage, you also have the arena. There are other types, but let's just focus on, this type. So what's the proscenium stage? That's a typical example of a proscenium stage. Well, you have the audience sitting on one side, facing, the stage. So it is also called a picture frame stage because it has an arc like that. So it's called a proscenium arc, or also the picture frame stage, right? A typical English type of stage. That's what you find everywhere around the world. So that's the proscenium stage. Then you have the thrust, which is different from the proscenium. So that's the thrust. It is called a thrust because it extends, it thrusts into the
Thank you very much.
I really want to see the third stage.
Well, off you go.
Can we see the third
Off you go. All four sides.
So the audience sit all around it. Some are secular.
Theatre in the round,
Yeah,
they
theatre
sometimes say.
Theatre in the round.
That's how the globe used to be. The globe in the UK.
Interesting. Interesting.
Okay, again, another hallmark of good teaching is that we want to continue learning. We don't want the lesson to end. So, let's start off with you, Mrs. Harold, since you've asked for more.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Abolo. I was captivated from the very beginning. I think the choice of images that you started us off with did the trick. And I like the way you allowed us to come up with our own definition of stage before you then gave the technical definition.
Yeah.
So I like the lesson very, very much. I wish that you had been able to get to the end of your planned activity. I don't know if it's a function of, were we talking? We weren't really doing too much talking. No. So maybe you might have narrowed down, your explanations a little bit so that you could cover the material in the required time. But it was a very interesting discussion, and I would have wanted it to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Christie, let's have your comments. Thank you, Ms. Alfie.
Mr. Anthony,
Yes,
very good and excellent slides. Everything is top notch. But I think you weren't able to manage your time well, because I know you still have some things. For example, I expected that there will still be some time that you will ask us questions on what you have taught, which time wouldn't now permit you to finish. But it's wonderful. And I think there are some, do you still have some frames there that we couldn't see?
You just wanted to show us the picture frame. Have you finished?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christie. Always a pleasure to watch you go about your business, Anthony Abolo. Yes, from the very first day when we were doing an online audition, and you were putting me through my paces because he was asking me questions. I was thinking, I'm having to really think here. This was an evening. I was thinking, I'm not too sure I'm cut out for such hard work, but always enjoyable, always challenging, and you've done that again today. So you've prepared well. I'm not too dismayed about the time, because sometimes, the thing with time is that as long as you're using every minute, that's what we can sometimes ask. Always catch back a bit of time or extend some other lessons, in subsequent lessons. So I always see time in that context. So for me, time is not so much of an issue. You had so much prepared. I just think it was the order in which you presented it. I think one or two parts of it were a bit back to front. So you see, if you go back to one of your first slides where you had the keywords and even probably the word search, I think the keywords were underneath the word search. So this is okay, so for us it was one of your first slides. Don't just click on the slide. You don't need to even have it in presentation view. No, go the other way. You're going the right way. You were going the right way before. Your early slide there. Yes. You don't even need to have it in presentation view. You can just be... You see, proscenium. Thrust. Okay, platform, arena, you'd almost expect them to know, but this proscenium thrust, there are some students there, and sometimes even the students who like words, and that's just going to bug them. They're going to like, what is proscenium? What is thrust? So the question becomes, could you have shown the pictures first? and ask them if they can name it, and if they couldn't name it, you would then tell them, and they'll soon see it's almost self-explanatory, because once we saw the thrust, we could see it thrusts out into the audience. Okay, proscenium, the arch, that's how theatres are. So I get the feeling that would connect a lot more, or you'd have been able to take everyone on this journey with you, this learning journey with you, rather than one or two hanging there. Yes, the word search was very engaging and I liked it. And for adults, I think it's going to work well because many adults would have heard of these terms. But for a younger class, what class with year 7, see, they might have been think to themselves, what are these words? Another thing to bear in mind is you've got to this very interesting part, purpose-built theatre stages, or what's the word you're using here? Theatre stage, rather than a non-theatre, yes? So performances in a theatre stage. And then you start to reel off all the interesting places, which you could have got from your students. Again, I know that's a factor of time, but your Muson, your Landmark, your National Theatre, you've got to let them come up with it. Because there's someone there sitting there and they're thinking, oh, I know this, and they're engaged. And the moment you don't ask them the question, they're like, all right then, he doesn't need me. So it's always about, to use what we're talking about here, it's always about not being the sage on the stage, but being the guide on the side. Yeah? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for us today?
No, no.
Okay. Well, you see, we're asking people that what could have been a big question in your lesson. And for some, this one could have been very simple. Have you been to see a play before in a purpose-built venue? Yeah. And
most schools have purpose-built
stages.
People,
if you ask people in your school in particular, what would they say for most of them?
I know a lot of them.
There you go.
A lot of them, if not all of them.
So they'll be yearning to tell you of their experiences. Take a few of them, milk it. Yeah? Because that's the engagement factor. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.